All right, today we're going to talk about fly fishing for steelhead. We're going to cover off on the indicator rigs. Today we're going to show you how to properly rig a fly rod for floating line with an indicator, some weight to suspend your offering below it, and a tandem fly rig. Here we've got a black stone tied onto an egg pattern. All right, so the basic setup today that we're going to be using is a floating line. We're using the Orvis Hydros 8-weight salmon steelhead taper. We're going to put this on a 7-weight rod. One of the things you want to do is make sure to overline your rod. This is a 10-foot 7-weight, and again we're going to be using the 8-weight line on this. You can mess around with a lot of different lines. In fact, you may want to cut some of the head back on it, but really it's all about personal preference. So we're going to start off with a line. Then from there you've got a lot of choices. You can go with some standard monofilament. Maximal Ultra Green is a great tried and true product that we've used quite a bit of around here, especially when the water's dirty. When the water's not dirty, when the water's low and clear, you want to get into some of the fluorocarbon. Here's Seaguar and Vizex. This stuff is great. I've been using this for a year or two, and I love this stuff. Probably the best there is, though, is the Mirage. You can start off with just a standard tapered leader, 9 foot for 1X, and then you can use some fluorocarbon tippet after that, and here's some 4X. Other key parts of the rig are your weights. You can use round split shot. These are some pretty heavy 5s if the water's high and dirty. You can get down into using some BB shot. These nice little Blackbird tubes are real convenient and easy to handle. From that, you're going to suspend it with a float. Now here you can go anywhere from wood to plastic to round to foam to yarn. I prefer to use these stand-up indicators. These are Blackbirds. These are a real good indicator here. They cast well, they retrieve well, they don't move around on your line. And as you can see, you can get them in different colors as well. So that's the basic components of it. Now putting the whole thing together is where some of you might be having some questions or some problems. Most of today's lines will have a head built right into it, or a loop built right into the head, and you can just loop another section of whether it be your actual tapered leader like the Mirage will have a loop on the end, and you can just handshake them together. What we do around here is, especially if you don't have a loop on there, is build a loop onto it with some hard mono. This is probably 40-pound hard mason mono. That's a good little butt section. It can be anywhere from 6 to 18 inches long, depending on your line, your rod length, and everything from there. From there, we're just doing a double loop here. This is pretty straightforward. There's a real simple loop I can show you real quick. Alright, so here we're going to cover off on some of the basic knots. Real simple, straightforward loop that you can do for making a loop in the end of either your leader or your butt section is just an overhand loop. That's a single surgeon's loop. Of course, then you just trim off the end. You could do that. There's a variety of other loops. There's the Duncan loop. There's, I don't know, a bunch of them. But that's pretty straightforward and simple. You take a loop, and then, again, here it is with what would be the leader. We're just going to double the line over, and a simple overhand knot is going to secure it, and then pull is going to secure that, and we'll just trim the tag end. Alright. And then to handshake these two together, there's some people do this differently, but the proper way of doing this is to bring your leader through your loop like so, and then your loop closes like that. If you're not getting that, you're probably doing it the wrong way. So that's how you handshake the two together. And that's just like how you would go from your butt section to your leader. The orange in my left hand would be the butt section, and the white in my right hand would be the the leader, and that would be a good loop-to-loop connection right there. From there on down, you may find that you're going to need to tie some tippet onto your leader. This white section being your leader, you may need to tie some tippet on there. There's a number of ways that you can tie the tippet on. When you're really changing from a big diameter down to a smaller one, you can use an Albright knot. If you just double the heavier material over in your hand and then place the tag of the lighter material in your other hand, you've got this loop you can just grab with your finger and then just wrap down it, come through the hole, cinch it down. Alright, so we're going to use a double surgeon's knot to attach the orange line and the white line. The orange line is going to represent the leader, the white line is going to be the tippet. You basically just take and double over both these pieces of line, give yourself 3 or 4 inches of space, and form a loop. And bring both pieces back through that loop. That's a single. And then if you do it again a second time, oops, that's a double. Okay, and then you can see as you seat that down, locks down real nice. It's a very strong knot, double surgeons. That's a real good knot to attach your tippet to your leader. Similar diameter lines it works well with. When you have a big change in diameter, say from 10-pound mono down to 6-pound mono, or from 1x to 4x, you wouldn't be able to do that. But then you just trim that off. Now, this is our leader, as I mentioned, the orange line. We've already got an indicator on here. We've got the thill. This is a balsa indicator that works quite well. It's a little bit smaller, but it works good with light line. And we're coming down to our first knot, the knot that we just tied here. At this point, we would affix some weight. Depending on the depth of water that you're fishing and the conditions and the flow, they're going to dictate how much weight you're going to have on. But you can see that approximately 2 feet to the first shot. Sometimes if you have a big enough indicator, you can place a shot right below the indicator. It helps you cast. And then you can run one more shot closer to your fly, and we'll just place a shot right on the line here. Now you may want to put a jam knot in there or secure that in, but you're going to run 2 shot approximately, another 18 inches apart. So this indicator can slide up and down your leader if you want more depth. This rig is set for about 3-4 feet of water. If you're in any more than 3 or 4 feet of water, you'd want to just take and pull your little toothpick out of the end and then adjust your indicator accordingly. So for demonstration purposes, we're going to make this pretty short. But so you've got your 2 sinkers on there, spaced apart. You've got your indicator, and then your flies are going to follow. Fly selection is completely up to you. This time of year, we're using eggs and nymphs. Pretty much all the year round, you're using eggs and nymphs. When the spawning's real hard, you just go straight to eggs. But still, it's always good to have a nymph on there. I'm going to go ahead and tie this hex on here and just use a improved fisherman's knot. You can see I hold both lines in my hand to get the spin, to get the wrap. You wrap 6-8 times up the line, slide the line through there and then back through, and that improves it. And as that knot cinches down, you get a nice, strong, easy to tie knot. Again, there's a million different knots you can use even to affix a fly to the line, but that's the knot I prefer. So there you go. So there's your first fly. If this isn't a weighted or a bead-headed fly, then this fly is just going to kind of follow along the sinker. If you do use, maybe a heavier weighted stone fly or something for your nymph, then you got to take that into account too, because that's going to be dragging the bottom. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of float right along on the bottom edge there. So from your first fly, this nymph that we just tied on, you can attach a second fly. If you have light enough line and a big enough eye in your hook, you can simply attach your other line to the eye of the hook on the first fly. We don't have space in there. We're using this Dacron for demonstration purposes only, but it's so thick that there's no way we're going to get it. And anyhow, I like to attach flies to the bend of the hook. So you can just take and put your fly in there like so, and then I just spin it. This way you get your wraps. You don't have to actually, try to move that line around and itself. And just come through here. And again, this is just improved fisherman's knot. And pass through the main loop. Cinch it down. Go ahead and trim this tag end off here. And so you've got a still exposed hook point and real good setting power on the first fly, and then you're going to have 12 to 18 inches back to your second fly. Second fly can be anything from another nymph to well, we're just going to go ahead and put a little orange glow bug on here. So I'm going to again use the same exact knot. Here's a quick little shortcut though, tip for you if you want to save some time when you're tying. You just hold your line in your hand like that in the end, and then just spin your fingers together, and that gets all your wraps. That wraps 6 or 8 times real quick. Feed that line back through here. And pass it through the big hole and the big loop. Cinch it down. And there you have it, a 2-fly rig with an egg trailing a nymph, a couple pieces of shot, and then our indicator. Okay, so pretty straightforward rig there. Nothing too fancy, but very effective. And that's a standard indicator rig. Now, again, you can mess around with distances and weights and position of your indicator, but that right there will get you out on the river fishing, catching some steelhead. So get some.
Don't put me out there.